There's a few different ways to get to the Devil's Peak Lookout just south of Mount Hood. The recommended method is to hike from the bottom of the Cool Creek Trail and just deal with a 3,400 feet of elevation gain over 3.5 miles. But if you're a glutton for punishment, or you just really like the idea of getting both your wheels and back realigned, you can cut the hike down to 2.6 miles out and back with 600 feet of elevation gain, but the trade-off is 18 miles, 9 miles in, 9 miles out, of getting tossed around, like thrown against the seats and doors of your car on the horrible Sherrar Burn Road. Now, it's not that the road is impossible to traverse. Most cars actually can make it up this road, even a lot of two-wheel drive cars. It's not so much that it's impassable, it's just incredibly bumpy. It's just the bumpiest passable road I'm aware of. Anyway, I recommend riding your bike up this road instead, and then just stash your bike in the bushes at the bottom of the trail because it's wilderness area, and hike the rest of the way up. I've totally done that before. It works great. I did not do that today as I was carrying a backpack full of radio equipment so that I could do a soda activation for ham radio. If you choose to make the same poor decision I did, even though you might know better, then you'll find enough parking for about 4 vehicles up at the top, as well as an old foundation for a storage shed that used to be connected with the lookout when it was active. Start walking up the trail from here. The trail from the parking lot is a very nicely maintained bench on a relatively steep slope. The tread is in good shape all the way to the lookout as well. The forest is sort of that subalpine, messy, scraggly stuff that's all over the Mount Hood National Forest at about this elevation. You'll find lots of blooming flowers up here in the early summer. In mid-June, I was finding vanilla leaf, lots of rhododendron, of course, bear grass, these yellow things, these purple things, and these other yellow things. The first view of Mount Hood happens about halfway up this short little hike. There are plenty of additional viewpoints along the whole way up if you feel inclined to deviate from the trail where the obvious side paths lead. One path you should also deviate toward is patreon.com, where you can sign up to support this channel. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. The ridge line is lovely, the hike is easy, and eventually you'll see the lookout itself looming ahead. On a nice weekend day, you're very likely to encounter other folks up here as well. The views of the lookout site are obstructed by trees that have grown over it by now, but from the deck of the lookout, there are still some obstructed sight lines out to a few peaks. The first of which is this nice view of Mount Hood from the top of the stairs through a perfect little gap in the trees. You'll catch glimpses of other peaks if you look carefully. Heading inside, you'll find that the lookout appears to still be well appointed, and that is a result of the volunteers who lovingly maintain this. It is first come, first serve, and people thoughtfully leave things like firewood and other gear for each other to share up here. Be respectful. Replace whatever firewood you use, sign the logbook, and shut the door when you leave. It is pretty cool that the volunteers have managed to keep this place up for as long as they have. I hope it continues to survive. If you're into radio sports, there is fantastic VHF line of sight into most of the Portland metro area and plenty of summit-to-summit opportunities across the spine of the Cascades and down into Bend. The lookout is located inside the sparsely populated CN95 grid square, which makes it a particularly popular multiplier for VHF contesters down in the valley, and that is why I was carrying all this heavy radio gear up here on this particular day. I'll reiterate for the third time that while I don't recommend driving the Sherrar Burn Road to access it, Devil's Peak is a fantastic destination mostly for day hikes with somewhat obstructed views at the top, but plenty of lovely forest to hike through depending on the approach used. This is one of those hikes that, sort of like Dog Mountain, is a good one to use for training if you're working your way up to maybe climbing Mount Adams or Mount Hood or just one of the bigger peaks. It's definitely worth your time. I'd like to extend a special thank you to my Loamy Goodness sponsor, Charles Kim, as well as my Hero Dirt sponsors, Devin Young and Edward Lanton. Please consider joining all of these folks who want to support this niche pursuit of reviewing trails and sign up to support this channel. I try to keep my content targeted and useful, but that does naturally limit the size of my audience. So if you've used my videos to help you plan a ride, hike, or find a trail, consider thanking me by joining. Now, lace up your boots, go take a hike, and if you're into it, get out there and play with your radio.